What's going on? In today's video, I wanted to talk about why you should be a music minimalist, specifically for bass players. And what I mean by that has to do with how many notes you're playing, how many notes you're not playing. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about minimalism. Your notes. How many notes you're playing. You're the bass player, you're not the guitar player, you're the foundation of an ensemble, you're the harmony and the rhythm and the melody, and unless it's your band, you're working for somebody else. So you're providing a service. That's really what, I mean, it's a service. You're working in the service industry. Music is totally a service. It's complicated, but I get hired by people, right? So that means I'm hired to do a job. My job is to play the bass. The function of the bass is all those things that I just mentioned. The foundation of the ensemble. Providing the harmony, the rhythm, the melody, like all those kinds of things. Not soloing. I solo like 0.5% of the time. Like in terms of like traditional soloing, like something like a guitar player would do, like a feature or something like that. I do that like 0.5% of the time on gigs. Nearly never, which is totally fine by me. I'm the bass player. I'm not trying to solo the whole time, I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to make everybody around me sound better. And how do I do that? Most of the time it's by playing less. That's what I think. Most of the time it's by playing less. Now this is also going to depend on the size of the group. If you're playing in a trio, you're probably going to be playing more notes, depending on the song. Obviously, always play for the song, but I've played for trios. I love playing for trios. I'm playing more notes with the trio, unless the drummer's playing a lot of notes. If the drummer's playing a lot of notes, then I have to contrast that, because there's a lot of rhythm going on with that. If the drummer's playing a lot of notes, it's more effective for me to play less notes if the drummer's playing a lot of notes in a trio setting, or probably in all settings, but definitely in a trio setting. If I'm playing in a 10-piece band or bigger, something like that, it's definitely best for me to play less notes, because there's gonna be horns, probably there's gonna be keys and 1 or 2 guitars. There's gonna be drums, maybe a percussionist. That's a lot of notes right there. All I'm doing is providing the foundation, whether that's a bass line that's set like an ostinato or like some pattern, or really whatever it is. But playing a lot of notes is not going to be what it's about. It's going to be about playing how few notes. Tony Levin talks about finding the good note. Finding the good note, like finding the right note. He doesn't play a ton of notes. He plays the right notes. What are the right notes to play right now? And as the bass player, that's one of the coolest things that we have in terms of, we can change the entire feel of what's happening by changing our notes. And the more notes you're playing, the less effective that's gonna feel. Anyways, play less notes. Less notes is gonna be more effective when you're talking about the bass. When you're talking about the bottom end, playing the bass. playing a ton of notes is always going to be way flashier. It's going to always get way more looks, you know. And again, if it's your band, you know, go for it. Do whatever you want to do. It's your band, you know. But if, again, I'm hired to play a part, and I didn't get hired as the guitar player. I got hired as the bass player. So that means I'm going to play the bass. So usually that means that we're going to, you know, be doing whatever songs are sent, you know, whether, you know, whatever it is, however long we're playing, whether it's covers, whether it's originals, whether it's a mix. All of these are going to have recordings. I'm going to be listening to the recordings. There are going to be bass parts already, whether, you know, it's originals and I played on it, or somebody, you know, it's covers or whatever, somebody else played on it. There's going to be a part there. I'm going to be playing that part. I'm going to be working off of that part and then improvising based on what's happening in the moment in the ensemble. Most of the time that's going to mean less notes. Unless, you know, I mean, it depends, but unless it means more notes. Ultimately, you have to play for the song. So if playing for the song means more notes, then do it. I just think that most of the time it's going to mean less notes. I think that you should err on the side of less notes as a bass player. Less notes. Less notes, more finding what the cool notes you could play would be. What's something cool that I could do that would be really minimalistic, right? The least amount of things that I could do that would provide the most impact. That's the bass right there. I mean, you know, what can I do the least of that's going to provide the most impact? You know, something that I don't hear a lot of people do these days is pedal. You know what I mean by pedal? Like whether it's just pedaling while things are changing over top. Pedal. You know how effective that is and how powerful that is? Bass players do that. Lots of other instruments, they're not pedaling in a way that is effective like the bass is doing it. Because the bass is the bottom, it's the foundation, it's underneath everything else. Everything else is going to change on top of it. You know, where if I mean, I guess you can pedal if you're like, you know, like the stuff in the middle. I mean, anyways, I prefer to work, you know, I think top and bottom because I'm bottom, but yet I also work melody because, you know, I think of counterpoint and I think James Jamerson, to me, he's like the king of counterpoint between bass and melody. So I really think in that kind of way. Middle kind of things, chordal instruments, all that kind of thing. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling, but play less. I should probably speak less. Play less. Music minimalism. As a bass player, you're going to get more work. You're being hired as a bass player, not as a soloist. You're going to get more work. I promise you. Play less notes. Play all your notes during sound check. Play a zillion notes during sound check so everybody knows that you can play. Oh yeah, okay, yep. But then during the gig, play less notes. But play the right notes. Play the effective notes. Play less notes.